a few people joining us, so they'll just pop in as we go. But welcome to our teacher rollout for construction for Perkins 5. We're really glad that you took some time to come and meet with us today and learn a little bit about what this project is all about. So we wanted to prepare you. We know that it's been a tough and challenging year. There have been an awful lot of changes, and it's the end of the year. And so I really appreciate you taking time after a busy day and a busy year to come and hang out for a little bit and to learn more about what's coming next year. So our goals today are really to start to develop a shared vocabulary and a shared understanding of how our CTE programs are changing from the requirements that we had for so long with Perkins 4 now to Perkins 5. And then with that, we're going to talk about what those changes are impacting. So that transition to credentials, some of the new curriculum documents that are coming your way, and some of the support that we're going to be providing in the future. So I also know that doing this creates an awful lot of questions. So along the way, we're going to pause for questions, and you'll see a slide that looks like this so that we can take questions about the topics that we just talked about right at that point. But I also know if you're anything like me, a question pops into your head and then you think, oh my goodness, I'm going to lose that. So we've got the chat. If you want to go ahead and throw a question in as it comes to you, go ahead, and then we'll go back and look at the chat when we hit these slides so that we can make sure that we catch everything. And then you always have the opportunity when we get to this point to unmute yourself and ask your question too. So I want to start first with a little bit of a history. Why is this change happening, and why are we making this shift now? So Perkins 4 was the federal legislation that we worked under starting in 2008. So if you've been teaching or entered teaching in the construction area after 2008, then this is probably all you've ever known. But in 2008, we transitioned to Perkins 4. That's been in place for an awfully long time. And now we're making a transition as that federal legislation has been rewritten to Perkins 5. And when our legislators rewrote some of those things, they used some different terminology and they made some updates, which then made Michigan and all the other states shift to accommodate those changes as well. So the big things that we're changing right now are going to be moving from those end of program assessments that some folks had with the standards to now credentials instead. And with that, we're changing and shifting our terminology and the way that we work a little bit so that instead of having a monstrous list of standards, you're going to be working with some bigger competencies or bigger ideas, and your list will grow a little shorter. Now, just a word of forewarning, everything that you've been doing is not going away. That really is the foundation for all of this work, and I'll show you that later today. So with that shift, then we're moving from the 12 segments to Perkins courses. And we had to do that because those legislators also in some of their definitions referred to courses, and Michigan wasn't using that same terminology. And then finally, one of the other big shifts from Perkins 4 to Perkins 5 is moving from articulation agreements into more robust and widespread credit agreements. And we're not really going to tackle that today. I'll tell you a little bit about what that could look like, but we'll come back to that later. So today is the first of a series of things that we're going to be offering as we make this movement. And this slide that you can see kind of shows what that timeline looks like. So when we went through this shift and the legislation changed, we had time as a state, along with all the rest of the states, to create a state plan and really decide what were we going to do and how were we going to do it. And then what were our priorities? So in some areas, like in that technical skill assessment area, which was what they called an indicator of program quality, we got to make a choice. But they also told us what we got to choose between. So it was a limited choice. And so Michigan made some decisions, and then we had time to begin to transition and implement those. Now you can see we're actually headed into year 2 of Perkins 5 legislation. And we might have been able to move a little bit quicker, but this thing called the pandemic happened, and that kind of changed where some of our priorities were at the time in our way of working. So you all are the first group to kind of go through this process along with a few others, and everyone now is starting that shift in year 2. So one of the things that we chose, or that we had to make a choice about, was that program quality indicator. And if you're familiar with your core performance indicators, it used to be called 2S1, and it was a technical skill assessment that was kind of an end of program evaluation tool to see how well you had encompassed all of those standards in the program. But the legislation shifted and gave us an option between 3 or 4 different things. And Michigan chose a post-secondary recognized credential. And on your screen, you'll see some of the things that define what a post-secondary recognized credential is. So it could be a license, it could be a degree, it could be an apprenticeship, or some other industry recognized certification. And we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about what this means for you and for your construction students yet today. But we chose this, and our post-secondary partners also had to do the same. So they're working with that same indicator. And we got together as a group, a lot of different stakeholders in the process, and came together to really talk this through and decide if this fit for us and why. And in the end, we chose the post-secondary recognized credential because it really hit some other markers that we had as a state. So it aligns really nicely with the governor's goal of 60 by 30 and getting credentials into the hands of folks to make them more marketable. And it also aligns really well with 3 different goals and some metrics that we have as part of our top 10 plan that you can see there. And of course, I mentioned that everyone had to do this, so we were not alone. There are 22 other states, or 43% of the states in the nation, that also chose post-secondary recognized credentials as their program quality indicator. So you can see on your map here who else has been working on this, and we were able to glean from some of their work as well. Now, when I put up that slide about a post-secondary recognized credential, I indicated that we were going to talk a little bit more about what these things are. And there's a couple of terms I think that will be really important for you to know. And one of those is an industry recognized credential. And that's one of the post-secondary recognized credentials that could be identified. But in particular, if it's recognized by industry, it means that typically this is something that's widely recognized as being very valid and useful within the labor market in a particular occupational area. So in your area, that would be construction. A lot of times this credential might be portable across state lines, or at least there may be some sort of reciprocity between states so that they recognize what another state has awarded. And then it really assesses the technical skills of that student or of that worker. And it tells all employers, just by looking at that credential, what that person can know and what they can do. So one of the other credentials that we're going to talk about is a supplemental credential. And if you were part of this work group, if you've talked with your advisory committee, you've probably heard a lot about these already. And these are usually also industry recognized credentials. But the difference here is that they're not specific to one occupation. So think of something like first aid. Very valuable for someone who works in the construction industry, but also very valuable for someone who works in the healthcare field or for someone who works in manufacturing. And so supplemental credentials are good or recognized across industry areas. And so a lot of times when we were talking with folks, these credentials came up and rose to the surface, but they don't count by themselves as something for that Perkins quality indicator. So there were 7 groups that went through this process. 5 of them were grant groups, and you'll see you were one of the 5. And so they were led by a CTE or a CPA director, usually with a large team, and a post-secondary partner. And then there were 2 other groups that also walked through this process, who will also be going through the rollout and some of the same changes that you'll be going through next year, but they were part of some parallel projects. So they didn't receive grant funds, but they also had some curriculum work to do, and it made sense to have them go through the process as well. For construction, I'm going to take a minute here and let our grant group introduce themselves and the folks that they work with. But I just want to acknowledge Diana Allard, who is the leader of that group. And Diana, in just a minute, I'll ask you to speak, but she pulled together with part of that grant team, employers from across the state. That was part of the task, so that it wasn't just the voice of one region, or area, but it was voices from across the state. So all employers from Michigan saying, this is what's really valuable to us, and this is what we need to hire and employ students in the field. And then they also pulled teachers from as many places as they could to be part of this process. And so on the map, you'll see where some of those teachers in the work group came from. So with that, I'm going to stop talking for just a minute and ask Diana if she would introduce her team. And if you've got some teachers who are part of that and you want to give them a shout out as well, if you can find them on here, because I know we have a large group, go ahead and do that too.
Well, thank you, Selena. I can only see 4 people across the bottom, so I know there is a very large number of individuals on here that we have worked with. But before as Selena mentioned, I am the CPA director for Genesee Intermediate School District, and the team that worked so hard on this project includes Charmaine Fletcher, who is the CTE director for Shiawassee RESD, along with Susan Carlson, who was our consultant and met with teachers primarily. Selena, I have a little puppy right now who is not enjoying the fact that I'm not playing with her, so I'm a little distracted. But do you want me to do like I did last time and talk about our process, or do you want me to skip that this time?
Go ahead and talk about your process and then save the credentials till we get to that point.
Okay. So as most of you are aware, because you were probably on the receiving end, we started out by sending a survey out to our employers and asking, as Selena mentioned, what are the things that speak to you when a student shows up in terms of certification? What's important? And there were some obvious, what we would call given credentials that continue to show up that were OSHA and the CPR first aid, but those weren't hitting the technical skills. So one of the challenges that we had was to, when we met with teacher groups, determine what is it that they were teaching towards in terms of curriculum that already aligned to their standards and could lead to a credential that we could endorse. So we spent a lot of time with big groups. And then what Susan did is she actually met with small groups of teachers to kind of work through any questions they might have as we were trying to determine which credential we would use. So I'll leave it at that so I don't throw away any surprise on you.
Oh, thank you. It's going to be very important as we work through this process and we talk through this today for you all to hear from the grant groups that worked on this, because they really were closest to the work. And they involve folks who have a very deep understanding of your industry, including some of you, so that what we came up with as a state meets your needs, meets employers' needs, and meets post-secondary needs. And that process looked a little bit like this. So they started with those current standards, because again, those aren't going away. Those standards that we've already identified and have been working with as a state are still very valid and very useful. So they started there. And then they talked to employers about what kind of credentials they really needed, like they required or they preferred or they liked to see when they hired. And from there, they took those 2 things and started looking at what are the big ideas that come out of those. So if a student leaves our program and we see them as being successful or ready for employment or ready for post-secondary education, what big things will they know and be able to do? And those are our competencies. From there, they took those and they put them into courses, which is really a new way of reporting for us. So now instead of reporting in segments, you'll report competencies in what we're calling PERKINS courses or PCCs, and we'll show you that in a little bit. And then they also did some additional work. So while we're focusing on these things on the screen that have stars on them today, there's more support documents and more materials and resources that will be coming for you in the future. So they took all of that work and then they looked at academic credit alignment. And we said, wouldn't it be great if as a state, we could really have some of those alignments done, and we could say to our local districts and our partners, you know what, we've done this work already. And instead of all of you having to do it, you could lift that and say, you know, it really makes a lot of sense. There's an awful lot of algebra and geometry in construction. And here's where we see that alignment happening. And here's the kind of credit that we recommend that you give students, or the kind of flexibility that they should get in the Michigan Merit Curriculum requirements. So they did some of that. They also did a really fabulous job in this group, especially of identifying the supports that students need, both to be successful in your program, to be successful academically as it aligns to your program, and to be successful in their transition to next steps. So you'll get some of those pieces of information. And then they also looked at that big overarching program of study. So if a student is really interested in going into the construction industry or related industry, what do they need to take in the 9th and 10th and 11th and 12th grade, including your program, to be prepared to move on? And then how does that align to post-secondary and employment options? What kind of training should they have? What kind of interest should they have? What kind of work-based learning should they be looking at? And then how does that align with those post-secondary credit agreements? And how can we make it so that you don't have to do so many of those on your own, but maybe they're more regional, or they are more transferable across institutions in our state? So that's the work that's coming your way. But again, today we're going to focus on just that little area with the stars. So I want to pause here and see if there are any questions. I do know that there's one in the chat. Just so that you all know, there are some documents that should be coming your way. And unfortunately, we couldn't get them right before this session and get them to you this morning. So we're sending them in a follow-up thank you document. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end. But some of the things that I show you as pictures today, you'll be receiving later as a PDF document. And then it will eventually be posted on our website in Excel format so that you can really work with that and be able to use it. So I want to make sure that you know that all of that's coming and you'll be able to put your hands right on it. Are there any other questions that folks have about this whole process so far before we move on? Oh, I see a question in the chat. What is the website and where is all of that posted? I'm going to ask Michelle Cordano, who's on the call from our office, to go ahead and throw that link in the chat for you so that you have it. I know that's probably easier than telling you what to click on and where. So we'll take this recording and these documents that you'll be getting as a PDF, and they'll be uploaded to the spot that she's going to link for you so that you can find them. And then eventually, where you currently find your gap analysis document that you have been using is where you'll find all of the rest of the documents. So Michelle, maybe you can throw that up there later as well.
Yes, I'm on it.
Thank you. Any other questions so far about process and that change from PERKINS 4 to PERKINS 5? All right, what you really want to know is the good stuff, right? Give me the details. So we want to talk first about credentials. what credentials have been identified. I do know that some of you had been working at one point in time on trying to identify a technical skill assessment for construction. And I know that there was some talk about that, but I don't know, it never really got up off the ground, or, we never got to that point as a state. But I do know that it had been a conversation, and now we have some credentials identified for you. So before I turn this over to Diana and Charmaine and Susan to talk about what those credentials are, I want to talk you just a little bit through the process that we used. So first, and Diana mentioned this as well, in your industry, there are some supplemental credentials that are widely recognized and valued. So things like OSHA certification, CPR, first aid, and AED, and even some employability credentials are heavily utilized by employers. And so we don't want you to think that they aren't important just because they don't meet that quality indicator for PERKINS 5, because they are. So if you're not currently using one of these supplemental credentials, it would be a really good idea to start, because employers loved them and they need people with these credentials. If you are using them, then I would recommend that you really emphasize to students that they should use these to market themselves, because it's going to give them a competitive advantage over someone who doesn't have them. So that did come out of this work group. But again, these are credentials that are supplemental because they can be used across industries. And so they don't meet the definition of a PERKINS 5 credential. So what does? We had to look first, again, at the credentials that employers valued, that they used or required or preferred when they were hiring someone. And then from there, once they identified those, we walked through a process to determine, were they going to lead a student to a living wage? Or did they at least lead to some jobs that then were stepping stones to another career that paid a living wage? So students could really earn a living from this. Beyond that, how did it align to the standards that we already have? So we know that most of the time there's not a 100% match. And that's because our standards are written as such that they're really broad and they encompass multiple careers. And in fact, for all of you, I know that sometimes there's a little bit of a disjointed feeling between the careers in your standards, because if you're focusing on residential construction, then you're probably not focusing on commercial construction and some of those highway and heavy equipment standards as much. You prioritize in one way or the other, which is perfectly okay. But for that reason, it's really hard to find one credential that hits it all. So the group told us what percentage of standards did it meet? And for all of you, the advantage is going to be when you're teaching and aligning with that credential takes care of some of the standards for you. So then you only have to focus on the ones that it doesn't meet. And we'll have some documents coming in the future for you that will show you how to do that. So that was part of our approval process. It went by a committee after that, just to make sure that it hit all of those markers. And if all of those things were a go, and it looked like there was some nice alignment and the employer support, then that credential was able to be approved. So Diana and Charmaine and Susan, here is the credential list that is approved. And I'm going to let you all explain this to the group, since you were the ones that talked to employers.
So I will start and let Charmaine and Susan jump on if I miss something. So the first one you can see is from the NCCER, and this credential would be core plus construction level 1, which means both the core and construction level 1 has to be met in order for a student to have received their full certification. We also looked at the 60-hour pre-licensures builder certificate, so that is approved. And the 60 hours should not lead you to believe that this is just a 60-hour program. It's much more detailed than 60 hours, but this is one that certain parts of our state use quite a bit with a lot of success. And again, we looked really hard at finding places where maybe the alignment, there were gaps just from our gap analysis where the standards weren't part of this. And then we've added like topics of study, if you will, that can be picked up in other ways. One that is brand new and we are so excited about is the Michigan Home Builders Associate Certificate. So this is new, and we did a lot of work with Dawn Crandall and the home builders to be able to offer something that, you know, would show students were qualified and had that technical skill set in order to go right to work for some of these students. I'm not going to tiptoe around the fact that we certainly had our challenges with union and non-union in this industry. And one of the things that we stood behind is that the standards are the standards, you know, and the certifications are what's telling of what a student has learned, regardless if it's union or non-union. So being able to bring the Home Builders Associate Certificate in really helped us for that. And then the other is the CTIF Career Connections plus Multi-Core Craft Curriculum. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of multi-core craft curriculum, but it is another, we had been using it as a gap filler, if you will. It does a really nice job with diversity and employability skills. A lot of things that are a little bit difficult for our instructors to teach in the classroom, but our employers put so much value on. I can't see the bottom one on my screen.
You know what, Diana? We were so excited about the Michigan Home Builders. It's on there twice.
Okay, that's what I thought. Maybe we had a new one, but I think, you know, we were really excited to do this work on behalf of our team. We were very excited to do this work because we have struggled for a long time with helping our students get to that next step. In my area specifically, there's no longer a community college program. So it was really difficult for us to help kids go the next step without something showing what their skill set was. So we picked the most difficult zip codes to tackle, but it was because we were so passionate about wanting to be able to say to our kids, you know, here's what you have, and now you can take it on your resume and people are going to recognize it and say, oh, you know, they're qualified. This is what they need. So we're excited about this list. We hope you are too. There's a lot of options on it, which I think are really important because we had a lot of conversations with people across the state, and different employers had different ideas of what, you know, was important to them in their area than what some others might. So instead of asking people to, you know, do something curriculum wise or make a change to what they were already doing when their employers were behind them, wasn't something we wanted to do. I think that's it for me. Any place that it says plus, I just saw a question come up. So any place that it says plus means that those two things are required in order to complete the full credential and have it be part of your CPI. This is one of the ways we kind of looked at a little bit of the PCC or the PERKINS courses. Maybe you have a course 1 and a course 2. It just depends on what you want to do. But we wanted to make sure there were options out there that made as many of the standards that are currently being taught part of those certifications and credentials. So do you want me just to open it to any more questions right now or no? I can't remember.
Let me address one more thing for all of you before we open it to questions. This is a really amazing list. So it does give you a lot of options, but we also realized that our grant group really kind of had to put some boundaries on their work because they only had a certain amount of time to do this really big project and to get all of this work done. And we know that there might be some other things out there that we haven't addressed. So if you look at this list and you say, but you know what, I know of a credential I really think fits and my employers value it, and I think it should be part of the list. There's an opportunity to add that. So this summer, there'll be some enhancement grants that are coming. And you'll have the opportunity, if you think that there's a credential that should be on the list, to be able to apply for an enhancement grant, take that credential, vet it with employers, and then align it to the competencies that have been determined and ask it to go through that approval process. So we want you to know that that is an option, even though this group did a really great job of giving you that amazing list, there may still be something hanging out there that you think should be added to it. And with that also, one of the questions that's come up in some of our other groups is, well, if one person does that, does everyone then have to apply? And no, if someone determines that there is something that should be added to the list, applies for an enhancement grant, then essentially they're doing the work for the whole state. And if it becomes added as an approved credential, then it's added for everyone. So with that, let's answer questions about the credentials that have been identified here.
I'm going to throw something out there real quick. This is Susan,
Yeah.
and a lot of you have worked with me, and I might be able to answer a few of those as I see them flash across the screen. With some of those in my conversations with teachers, they might have been using the NCCER Core Plus Level 1. But I also noticed that some of them were also using with theirs MC3. So that group could continue what they're doing, because what they did is they saw that the standards that were covered through NCCER, and they had some empty that might have to be units of study that MC3 would cover. Some of them might use NCCER and MC3 and not the career connections. So there are combinations of things that people could use, such as I talked to someone that does the 60-hour pre-licensure, and they were going to add the career connections for this next year. So now what they've done is they've meshed those together to really cover all of the standards. And that's what the flexibility you'll see in a few minutes you have to do. Also, what happened with the home builders is this, Dawn and I, Crandall and I just finished this last week, which we will be sending on to Selena, is all the documents and the information for them to have that will be added to a tip sheet, it will be called, and help all of you that would like to add a credential that was listed, and how could you apply to have that as one of your credentials. So you will get all that information for each of the credentials, including the home builders, how you could apply for that and go about the process. And also the home builders will have it on their website so that you'll be able to click right on it and you will be able to get that information. So I think what people that in my conversations that I've had and the documents that you're going to receive from Selena, that will show you how that the credential that was identified, what gaps there are, and what you might have to pick up and cover from other things. So you will get to see that there's some flexibility in there and how you pair and pick what credentials you choose for where you are, because that was a mantra I think that people got sick of hearing from me, was the idea was the state is very large and we have a lot of different groups in the state and a lot of different types of construction across the state. And we wanted to ensure that students had many paths that could follow that would incorporate where they are, what kind of program there is, and that there's multiple offerings. So once you get this information, many of you that met with me in small groups, I think you're going to see it is what we discussed. It looks like that, and you'll get the detail that you want then for those of you who were not part of that to apply or add on those credentials if you don't currently have them.
Perfect. So when I go to the chat, there's a few questions here that I want to make sure we answer for you. One of them is, how is the construction specific OSHA just supplemental when that's really the number one thing you do? And we hear you. That lays the foundation for everything else, especially in your program. What made that supplemental was that it just didn't touch enough of the technical standards for us to be able to say that it was an approved credential. And it wasn't just our decision. That was a committee decision. And we also looked at what made approved lists for several other entities and what was happening in other states. So, well, we definitely know that that's incredibly important and probably one of the greatest things that you can do for your students when you're sending them out into industry. It by itself didn't make that approved list. So again, if you're doing that, don't stop. It's a good thing. And we recognize that safety is of the utmost importance for you and for your employers. There is a question that says, is this slide different or updated from what was shared a few weeks ago? Well, other than that little snafu that I have to fix where we put the Home Builders Association twice, I think that the only thing different on this slide is that we had a few things that were pending and still going through the review process when we last shared this information. So now all of these things have been approved and they should all fall on that approved list for you that you'll see in CETUS next fall. I believe that we answered the question about, is Career Connections a standalone or do you need that with the MC3? And anytime you see that plus, in order for it to count for your Perkins quality indicator, it has to be both things together. And I also believe we answered the question about, is the Home Builders Association certification new? But I do want to just jump in and reiterate that there'll be tip sheets for you, and you'll find those under that career cluster button on our website. And Michelle linked that earlier, where your gap analysis document currently is. That's where all of the new information is going to go, so that you don't have to find it in a new place. And those tip sheets will give you links to all of the places that you need to go on the website to be able to find out more about that credential. And then, are there program requirements or an application in order for a site to offer any of those credentials? This is a great question that maybe Susan Carlson can help with. There are some things I believe that teachers need to do to be able to offer the credential there. For all of you, you can pick any of these credentials that you want, and you don't have to do anything for OCTE to say, here's what I'm choosing. You just choose it and offer it. But to become a testing site or to be able to offer some of those credentials as an instructor, Diana and Susan and Charmaine, do you want to weigh in on that? Because I do know that there are some criteria for some of them.
Yes, there are. In fact, part of what we turned in that will be part of the tip sheet actually shows on the website for each of them. When you go and you click on it, it'll take you through the steps to become a testing site. Or like for the 60-hour pre-licensure and the home builders, for example, you will have to turn in things about your own credentials if you, as the instructor, and the district that you're in, and what the program's going to be, and your syllabus, and what your calendar is going to look like. So there will be other things that you'll actually apply as the instructor in the school, the program, and then you'll go through that process individually. Same thing with NCCER. If you don't currently do it, you will also apply to them with some of that same information. The teacher will go through training. Are there costs involved? Some of them there are. Some of them are from minimal to medium that you would have, but a lot of them are just a one-time cost up front for the teacher training.
Perfect. So you'll be getting all of that information so that you have time to look it over and investigate. And if you're not currently doing something or you want to change what you're doing, you'll have time to look into that too. When I go back to the chat here, there's another question about an idea as to the cost associated with credentials. And each of our credentials across programs has a different cost involved. And so one of the things that will be important for you as a teacher is to go back and talk with your administrator about what it is that you'd like to offer in your program, and then to start to sit down and look at that cost. Because there are some different funding sources that they can use to help pay for those credential assessments for students. But they need to know that up front when they're planning the budget, and they need to know kind of what you're thinking and have time to look into that. So definitely start that conversation. And then you'll be able to utilize those tip sheets to get at that expense information by student so that you can start to figure out that budget for the future. And we do realize that some of these have more costs again than others, significantly more costs. So that may be a factor as you decide, or what your advisory committee recommends and what the employers in your area really value might also help you decide what it is that you want to do in your program. There's a couple folks that are weighing in about things that they use, which is fabulous. And if it's not something that's on the list, again, you have the option to add that, and we know that there's more out there. And if it is something that's on the list, we definitely hope that you'd be willing to answer questions about that for other folks as other people are starting to investigate and figure out more about what each of these things are. Oh, and there's some great comments for our grant group about help in ensuring flexibility, and they really did a stellar job with that, and we appreciate all of you that helped as well. Quick question about how many credentials are you going to have to hit? And you know what, for the Perkins quality indicator, really you only have to offer one that meets that for students. This is a little bit different than the technical skill assessments, because with those technical skill assessments, you had to offer it and a student had to take it, but they didn't have to pass. And they were automatically counted in our quality indicator. But now with credentials, every CTE student in Michigan makes up the denominator for that formula. So even programs that aren't offering credentials, all of their students become part of that figure, which wasn't what happened before. And then for a student to qualify and meet that core performance indicator, they have to take and earn the credential. So if they take it and don't earn it, then they don't meet that criteria. So you definitely only want to offer these credentials to students who are ready to take them. And you want to make sure that you've prepped them enough in advance that they're ready to earn that credential. But you only have to hit one off that list. So you don't have to get them all unless you want to, because there are benefits for students to having more than one thing. So, and let's see. We'll try to make sure we throw those links back in again. I see a couple of comments about that so that you have them and you don't have to search through the chat to find them. So, and another question about completing more than one credential. The only case is if it says plus, and if it says plus, then you have to have the two. There is a question about, is the credential tied to funding? And no, it currently is not tied to funding. The only thing that it's tied to right now is that core performance indicator, that quality indicator. And we look at that as a region in the state. So the data that your program is generating and the things that your students are doing are combined with all of the rest of the programs in your region. And then that's how you determine if you're hitting your target. So more and more programs will continue to go through this process. So our indicator will move up, but the number of students who are able to help meet that indicator also move up. And then there is a question about how is the Career Connections credential earned? And can I have maybe Susan or Diana throw that in the chat for everyone for us? And so that all of you know, we're creating an FAQ document out of this. So we'll take all of these questions and all of these answers and we'll post those for you as well, so that you have them. Holly asks, will there eventually be a requirement for a percentage of students that earn the credential? There will. Right now, it's around 3% of students in our state, because this is something brand new for us and we had not identified many credentials before. So as we continue to add credentials and move through Perkins 5 and grow, our number of students that are required to meet that core performance indicator will increase, and we have to do that for the federal government.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry about that. I'm not a big typer on these things, but
That's okay.
So do you want us to focus on the Career Connections credential, if you will, and we do CPR, OSHA, and MISTIG? So are we able to push those aside and focus on the Career Connections, just so I can, you know, can we just focus on the Career Connections instead of the other three due to time?
I think every program will kind of have to decide that for themselves based on where your time factor is. But when we show you those documents, what you'll be able to see is where the Career Connections hit some of those standards that you have, and then where it doesn't, and you may opt to still bring in those other credentials to hit some of those other standards. Really what it does, having these credentials, is that it allows you to, and I don't want to say this kind of flippantly, but it allows you to not have to think about those standards because they're already embedded in the credential. So when you're working toward the credential, you're automatically hitting some of those standards or competencies that would have been in your gap analysis document. And then this group did a really great job of saying, okay, we did all of that alignment, but there's still this group of standards that's not hit by the credential. So then those you have to figure out how to hit. And in that case, you might be able to plug some of those other things in. So it takes a little bit of paperwork off your plate as a teacher, not having to think about our standards list and the credential list at the same time, but being able to think about them as one thing. So. And all right, we have a couple of questions about, what happens if they take it and they don't pass? Can they take it again? They can. The students aren't counted, or maybe that's not the best way to say it. The students count as earning the credential right up through August, the year of their graduation. So if they graduate in June and they take this credential and are awarded in July, it still counts as part of your core performance indicator. So if they didn't take it once, but they have the and pass it, but they have the opportunity to do it again, they could. And does it need to be earned over the course of 1 year or 2? That's completely up to you. And it sometimes depends on the credential and the amount of time that it requires. So there is a question, if you have a 2-year program and the student receives a credential in their first year, would they need to receive another different one in their second year? And not necessarily. You do still have the option to offer what we used to call Q, or advanced coursework for students. And so you are still able to do that. And just because they've gotten one credential doesn't mean that that advanced coursework has to include another. It could be that they're working on something that's, industry specific, but isn't tied to a credential. I'm going to scroll through these here for just a minute. There's another question about cost, and we'll make sure that you get those tip sheets so that you can start to see those, because definitely that is something to think about. All right, so I've hit just about the end of the questions, but we're going to make sure that we include them all individually and then that we answer them each individually in the FAQ document. But I want to go ahead and give you a little bit of information about what your program competencies are going to look like and what reporting will look like for you next year. So, and I do see, sorry, the tip sheets are going to be on our website, so we'll make sure that you have access to those soon, because I know that's important as you approach the end of the year. So the other big change for you besides credentials is moving from looking at that gap analysis document and standards to working with competencies. And again, your standards are still there, but I want to show you what that move to competencies looks like. So in general, when we talk about a student being competent, if we were an academic teacher teaching, say, math or science, then we would see competent as a student who is proficient. They have the knowledge and they've been able to demonstrate that they understand a certain content area. If you're an employer, then you see someone who is competent as someone who's able to do the job. And again, they possess that base knowledge and they can apply what they know. And so competency is really a measurable demonstration of your understanding and knowledge and your skill or your performance. And there's no place better than CTE for us to kind of understand and implement that, because we already do those things on a regular basis. We look at that foundational knowledge that happens in the classroom, and then we apply it out in the lab. And I know here I'm going to be completely speaking, and singing to the choir, but when we think about competency and a competency-based education system, it really offers us the opportunity to differentiate instruction and to customize what we do to make sure that every student can be successful. So in our typical system, we tend to pace ourselves based on how much time we have to get something done. And more education is moving away from that a little bit. And we're thinking about really being able to master something before we move on. So students who need more time versus students who need less time and need to move faster. And so the analogy that I've been using for this, of all things, is building a house, which all of you understand, right? So we would never think of building a house and tell our mason who's putting in the foundation, okay, you've got 3 weeks, get whatever you can done. And when 3 weeks ends, we go, okay, buddy, cutting you off. Now we're building the first floor and bring in our builder to build the first floor. Because all of you know that what would happen if we built that house on a foundation that wasn't solid is that eventually it's going to settle and it's going to crack and it's not going to be correct. It won't be safe. And so that's sometimes what we're guilty of when we think about how we teach students. You all know that when you are working with a student, say on safety, that we've talked about that's so important, you make sure that they've hit those standards and that they're completely competent before you ever put them on a piece of equipment and let them out into the lab or out into the work site. Because if you didn't ensure that their foundation was solid, there's bound to be an accident later, and they're not going to be able to understand. If they can't measure well, you don't typically let them cut a lot of pieces of wood or other materials until they've got that foundation. And that's really what competency-based education is, thinking about those big ideas and making sure that we build that foundation well. And for students who can move through that fairly fast, they might get a little bit farther. They might get their second story on before other students, where some of them need to spend a little bit more time building that foundation before they're ready to move on. Now, saying that, a lot of times when people think about competency-based education, they think about grading. And so I don't want you to all think, oh my goodness, now I have to go change my grading practices and we're moving to competency-based grading. It's a good thing, but it's not something we're saying that you have to do. However, with Perkins 5 and us moving to competencies and credentials over standards and assessments, it really helps us to paint a better picture for all of our partners who don't understand grading practices in the same way that we do. So if you look at this screen, if this were our typical grading system, if you look down, say at Oscar, he's got D's and F's on most of his tests, but he's what every employer wants to see, right? He's a hard worker. He's obviously enthusiastic. He's there on time every day, which we know that they want. He's doing everything he can to go above and beyond. He walks out of your class with a C. But when he walks onto the work site, the employer has no idea what it is that he knows how to do. Or if he moves into post-secondary education, they don't know that he's gotten D's and F's on something that might be really critical, like, how to lay out a wall. He might not know how to do that. So the grade in our grade book doesn't tell the same picture. It doesn't communicate to our partners the same way that a credential does. And so by moving to a focus on credentials, we're really validating what our students know, and we're speaking the same language as our post-secondary partners and our employers. So when that student walks out with a credential, that employer knows exactly what they know and what they know how to do. And that's one of the benefits of this system. Now, I mentioned earlier that even though we're moving to competencies, we are still basing this on the standards that we have and that those won't go away. So I want to take just a quick minute to tell you about how we moved from the standards that you have right now in the gap analysis document to these competencies. So when you see them, they make sense. So our standards in Michigan were based on 4 big areas. Our technical standards were typically based on a national set of standards or something from a national association or another credentialing body. And so when you see the alignment to some of these credentials, some of them are going to align better than others simply because they may have been based on that in a technical sense. Then if you remember in your gap analysis document, you had all these different color codes. I think it was more of a red color that was technical, and then there was some purple or some yellow or some green, and those were cluster and pathway standards. Cluster and pathway standards are standards that are national, and they're more overarching for either one of the 16 clusters that you belong to or one of the 79 different pathways that we have. And so they're broad and they speak to a multitude of careers, and they are the same for every program like yours in the nation. And then we had our career ready practices, and those were the employability standards. Again, developed on more of a national level. It was a statewide initiative. There were 12 different standards. We've condensed those to 4 major competencies and some different things that students would do or show you to let you know that they were career ready. So all of these things were already in your gap analysis document, and they were indicated off to the left-hand side. If you'll see here, you can see some of the color coding that was there. This happens to be helped, but you had the same type of thing. It would show you what the standard was, what source it came from, and then it would indicate whether it was a base knowledge or whether it was a performance skill, something that students would do for you. And our grant group used these to then determine that big idea. So first they looked at, what does a student need to know coming out of our program? And what do they need to be able to do? They also looked at that with the employers, and they looked at those credentials. And then they went back and they pulled things from that knowledge and skill area in your gap analysis, things that were worded like identify, know, understand, recall. And those were all of the content standards that made that foundational knowledge. From there, they looked at, what is the student going to do to let you know that they understand those things. So if you're familiar with Bloom's taxonomy at all, it kind of looks like this. The things that make up the foundation for us at the bottom are those things that you know and understand. Once you begin to do those, we're going to call those performance indicators. And then the things at the top, these higher arching things, are bigger concepts that students can do across content areas or multiple times in multiple different ways. So I want to show you this one more way, and then I'm going to show you what yours look like. So again, you have those 4 areas that your standards came from. Our grant groups took those things that are what we call naturally sticky, that went together. And I'm going to show you what this looks like for construction. And they put them together. So instead of having to hit, say, 8 different standards in the gap analysis document, you'll have one statement, one competency that encompasses all of these things. So here's an example of what it might have looked like for you. One of your competencies is to demonstrate and apply knowledge of specific materials and methods associated with residential construction. So when I went back to your gap analysis document, here are some of the technical standards, the cluster and pathway standards, and then a career ready practice that were in the document that feed into this competency. So again, previously you had to look at your gap analysis document and rank all of these 8 things. Now you're going to be looking at one thing. And so that I don't forget to mention it, you will no longer have to complete the gap analysis document for OCTE and for your SIP self-review like you did before. So you will no longer have to go in and rank those things. You'll still have all this information if you need it for curriculum review and revisions or for working with post-secondary partners, but you won't have to do that piece of documentation anymore. So again, you can see it came from some of these same statements, but the beauty of a competency is that a student can show you in multiple ways that they've met it. So if you're going to offer the NCCER, then you can see in that green box some of the things that are part of that students would have to demonstrate or do. If you're going after that pre-licensure for students, then there are some things that students will demonstrate. And in the home builder's credential, here are some of the things students will demonstrate so that you know they've hit that competency. They're all just a little different, but they all get at the same end result. So the short version of this is you've got your 4 different areas that standards came from. That grant group pulled them together, found the things that fit, and that aligned with a big idea of what a successful student would be able to do coming out of your program. They wrote that competency, and then it's aligned to several different credentials. So no matter which one you choose for your program or multiples, you'll know that students are still meeting it. And this is one of the documents that you're going to get afterwards. So I'm going to hover here for just a minute so that you can see these. These are the competencies that are for your program. So if you're a well-seasoned teacher and you have a really deep understanding of those content standards, this may be the only document that you need most of the time when you're writing lesson plans and you're looking at how you're structuring your year. Again, if you want more detail, that will be available for you as well. What you'll end up with eventually is an Excel file with multiple tabs at the bottom so that all of your resources are in one place. But these are those competencies. You will see there are a couple that are italicized, and that just means that they hit multiple content areas. And here are some of those big overarching content areas. Now, when we get to your actual document, you're going to see that some of these industry foundation areas are further broken apart into academic foundations, communications, leadership, things like that. And so those are noted here in parentheses for you. So I know we're whizzing through this, and I know you want to be able to get your hands on this here later today, but I want to pause for a minute and find out. I'll leave this slide up for you, but I want to find out if there are questions so far about this process and the move to competencies. And I'm going to check out our chat here as well.
I don't type well either.
No problem.
Yeah. Some of these credential, I noticed NCCER, I tried to do that and they try to go through ABC. And that's kind of a sticky situation for union type people. So is there a way to do NCCER without going through ABC in Michigan?
And Susan Carlson is probably our expert in that. Susan, do you know the answer to that question?
I hadn't heard that. That's not part of what I pulled off the national site for teachers to apply.
Yeah, when you go to NCCER and you tell them you're from Michigan, they send you to the ABC school to get your certification. They certify you through them.
Okay.
And that's kind of sticky because there's a real conflict in Michigan with them and our union.
Well,
Yeah, I don't think that we did that in Genesee, but I can't speak to it 100%. So we'll definitely look into that. And one of the things on that tip sheet should be other places that you can do it. It may just be that's the NCCR is linked to them or doesn't know there are others that can do it, but we'll find out.
I'd appreciate that on the site you give us alternative locations, because I've gone through ABC and I had nothing but misery. And I don't mean to badmouth them. Wonderful outfit, I'm sure. It just they controlled everything and they wouldn't allow me to just do it for my class. I had to do it through them. I couldn't do it for my school. I had to do it through them, and I didn't feel that was practical.
I had not heard that from other people, so I will actually look into it and I will get information to Selena to add to the tip sheet.
And again, that was several years ago. That was several years ago, because I could see this coming down the pike, the competency based. So I went, to NCCER, and that's where they sent me.
Okay.
And they wouldn't sanctify my classroom. They had some sort of overseeability that they could determine whether my classroom could be NCCER certified for testing site. And I didn't feel that was right going through them when the textbook Pearson company, should have been the one involved in that, not a separate agency.
I understand that. Okay,
Yeah.
Let me look into that, and I need to know who, and I will get that to Selena so that it could go out in the other information. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Of course.
So, couple quick questions in the chat. If you're a new program, will you need to submit a gap analysis with your new application? At this point in time, I don't know what that's going to look like as we move to new applications, but we do know that The gap analysis that you're currently working with will not be the same document that you're working with in the future. Those will look different. So, so that's a good question that I don't have an answer to yet, but I'll bring back to the team. And as we move into those new program applications for next year, we'll have a better answer for you. And then the other question is, when can we expect the full Excel file? Well, what you'll see when you get those documents today is that we're still working on some formatting issues to make sure that they can be up on the website. As a state, we have to make sure that everything's ADA compliant and that it meets certain formatting rules. So we're going to get you PDFs of as many things as we can today. And then we hope to have them up on the site very soon, but we'll have an announcement that comes out, I believe, on that so that you know when they're there. So another question about, do you need to purchase new textbooks or are there any recommendations? I don't know that you'd have to purchase new textbooks, but it probably depends on where you're at and what it is that you'd like to offer. So maybe, Susan, is that something that we can look at as far as recommendations for the tip sheet as well?
Yes, I think we can pull that, talk to you on the sides, but I think that we pulled most of that that's in the form
Perfect.
H, and then there's another form that we pulled all that from, and maybe we can review it real quick to make sure it's answering all their questions in a little bit more detail.
Sounds good. Okay. Sounds good. And then one question about our competencies and PCCs for implementation next year. And I'm going to get to that question in just a minute. So let me show you PCCs and then we'll talk about implementation plan. So we're going to skip over our question slide since we just did that. So now let's look at a PCC. So our grant group took, those standards that were what we call naturally sticky that went together and created competencies. But then to create a reporting structure for what the federal government deemed as courses, we had to take those big ideas or competencies that went together and then lump them into groups. So kind of think back to your segments. You had standards put into groups to become segments. Now you have competencies put into groups to become PERKINS courses or PCCs. And we're calling them PCCs because really they are a group of PERKINS course competencies. And when our grant group got together and started working on this, their charge was to find those things that went together that we could put together for reporting in CEDIS. And we told them, make sure it takes around 80 hours to deliver this, just so that we didn't have one course that might take you 30 hours to deliver and another course that took you 200 hours to deliver. That way, it's a little bit easier for you at the local level to figure out how to structure your schedule. Now, I don't want you to see this and think that, okay, when I see the PCC, it's going to take me 80 hours. You definitely could go above and beyond. And sometimes the credential requires a different number of hours. So I'm going to show you some options. So basically it looked like this. They took those big ideas and again, put them together to create a PCC. So I apologize. I know this is a little bit small, but I want to explain this graphic. This is a shortened version of what it is that you're going to get to look at. But in general, each color is a PCC or a PERKINS course. And again, these are for reporting purposes. So you don't have to deliver them exactly as they're written. And I'll show you those options. But here's how they were grouped together. On the left-hand side of the screen, you have some codes. So before, when you reported segments as 1, 2, 3, 4, now you'll report competencies using these codes. You have fewer than 35, but that's the maximum number of competencies that we would have in a program. You have 4 different courses that are outlined here. And each of these, it'll show you how they were related to the current segments that you have, and then how they fit with some of those credentials. And you'll see some more specifics in the bigger document that you get. And I apologize, there was no way I could show you all that on the screen in one big picture, so I'm going to show it to you in little chunks here. So here are those competencies that you saw earlier, and again, how they align. Now, if you're in the middle of a program that's a multi-year program, we're going to show you later this summer and this fall how to take those students who were reported under segments and make sure that now you can report under competencies so that you don't lose any students as concentrators and completers. So we'll help you with that process. So here's the big overview of what your program looks like. And now I'm going to show you a little bit more detail. This is what this sheet is going to look like that you're going to see here coming up. So again, competency codes, the PCC has a letter that goes with it. That does not mean that you have to teach those in order, although you might see for construction some things that naturally come first for you that you may naturally teach ahead of others, like perhaps that safety section. And then here's where the alignment has occurred. So if you are offering the OSHA 10 certification, that's going to take care of that safety, health, and environment competency. If you're offering NCCER, it's going to take care of all of these competencies in PCCA. If you're looking at this credential and you see this little asterisk here, that means that this is the one thing that you'd have to teach on your own, or you'd have to supplement with another credential because this credential doesn't automatically have it in there. So you can kind of see, again, if you're looking at the pre-licensure, here's another one with that that's italicized with an asterisk, and you can see it doesn't have academic foundations in there. So as an instructor, you would be responsible for teaching that. So here is A in the alignment. And again, you'll get these in one big document so that you'll be able to see it as a big picture. Here's B and its alignment. Here is PCCC and its alignment. And again, you're going to see a few more of these things that you may have to teach on your own, depending on which credential you align with. And then here's D. And D probably has the most things that you may have to pick up on your own. And those are some of those areas of heavy equipment or commercial construction, that if you were focused on residential, you may not have focused on as much. So with that, let's talk about how do you practically implement this? It's the same things that you've been teaching, just now looking at bigger overarching competencies. And so I showed you those courses, and you have the option to go, yeah, you know what, that looks like what I've been doing. That makes perfect sense. I think I'm going to go ahead and locally, I'm going to follow those same courses. And I'm totally giving you an example here, but you know, let's say I teach in semesters, and I think in semester one, I can offer all of PCCA, and that seems like a good place to start. So that's what I'm going to do. And that's what this slide shows you. Now, it might be that you say, but you know what? I really don't think I want to teach PCCB next in second semester. I really think I'm picking up C instead. That makes sense for me. And you could do that. So another way to think of it is if you're a driver's training instructor. If you're a driver's training instructor and you have to teach students how to drive, it might be that you think, you know what, course A, that's traffic laws. I think everybody has to know traffic laws before they get out on the road. So that's what I'm doing first. And then parking is important, but I really don't think that you can understand parking a vehicle until you think about the signs and the pavement markings that are out there. So I'm teaching all of that second. So my driver's ed class is going to have traffic laws and then signs and pavement markers. Then we're going to talk about parking and then eventually safe driving, and we'll get out on the road. And you could do that, lifting those courses the way that they were set up by the grant group verbatim. But the other way to do this is to look at more of an integrated model. And again, neither one is better than the other. It's just whatever works for you. So you might say, you know, I think I'm going to teach the safety out of PCCA, but then in my class, we really dive right into building a house. And so I need to start talking about residential construction and planning and blueprints and some of these other things before I teach everything else. So I need to do this in a different way. And so that would be more of an integrated model. Now, if we were talking about academics, you may see this in your local high schools as well. So it could be that in some schools, you teach biology and then chemistry and then physics, and students take those as one whole course by themselves. Or you could see integrated science A, integrated science B, and integrated science C, where students learning a little bit of biology along with some chemistry and physics that go along with it, and that creates one course. So if we were going to go back to the idea of driver's training, an integrated model might look something like this. So in this case, the driver's training instructor might say, gosh, you know what? I don't have very many vehicles for students to be in. And that means if I'm going to get everybody out on the road in segment 1, then I really need to make sure that we get in the vehicle pretty quickly. So I don't have the luxury of saying we're going to teach all of the traffic laws first and then all of the signs and pavement markings before I put students in the vehicle. We've really got to start like day 2 with students in a vehicle in the parking lot. So I'm going to teach the traffic laws that they need to know first pertaining to just moving a car and parking it. And then we're going to talk about the signs and the pavement markings that come along with parking your car and just moving it and maneuvering it. And then I'm going to teach parking skills. That'll be my course A. And then in course B, we're going to move from the parking lot out into one of the side streets near the school. And we're actually going to talk about what it's like to drive on a road. And so then in that class, I'll pull in the traffic laws for being on the road and the signs and the pavement markings that they're going to see while they're on the road. And then we'll talk about some of those parking and driving skills. So again, 2 different options. You get to decide what works best for you. And we're going to start reporting things as a competency in a PCC in the fall. So we know that you're probably going to need some support to be able to do that. And we've designed some sessions coming up this summer and this fall to help you make that switch. Now, we also understand that if you're not currently offering one of these credentials, saying, hey, guess what, we're doing it this fall, doesn't give you very much time to prepare. So in that case, I'm going to show you in just a minute a phased in approach that you can use so that you're not under a lot of pressure to be able to try to figure this all out when you're actually leaving school for the year and getting ready for summer vacation. So I want to pause just really quickly and let's save our questions about this part to the end so I can show you that phased in approach that may answer some of them, and then we'll go back to the chat and we'll catch some of those questions. So really quickly, how do you prepare? And I want to show you this slide here. This may not have all of your options, but as you're thinking about how to start implementing some of these things, if you're offering one of those credentials that's already on the list and you're happy with what you're doing and it's working successfully for you, then probably the biggest shift that you'll need help with is moving from reporting in segments and standards to reporting competencies and PCCs. And we have some sessions again set up for that. If you're not currently offering one of those credentials, then you fall in one of maybe those 4 areas in the boxes further down on the table. And in that case, what I'd like to ask you to do is after today, wait for those tip sheets to come out, do some investigation into the credential, talk to your advisory committee, talk to your administrator, find out, are one of these things that are being offered, do they work for you? And then what are the next steps to do that? So we know that if you're going to be implementing a new credential, it's probably unlikely that you're going to be able to dive in and offer it first thing in the fall. And so what we're asking is that you think about your own phased in implementation. What is it that you need? What do you need from us at the state? What do you need from your administrators? What things do you need to know? What kind of help do you need from your advisory committee, or what resources do you need? And you create a plan so that you can work towards that implementation. And again, you'll get this slide so that you can peek at it as well. And to be able to help you as best that we can and to support you through this process, we're sending out a survey. You'll get 2 after today. You'll get a survey that says, hey, how did the professional development go and what could we change and what could we do better? And then you'll get this survey that you see on our screen, a credential readiness survey. And that's going to ask some questions about you and your process. Now, I don't want to forget to tell you, for this survey, you need to know your CPID number and your region number. So if you don't know those off the top of your head, and likely you may not, reach out to your administrator before you take this so that you have those. And you'll fill out this survey and answer some questions about where you're at in the process. And then what we'll do as a state is take this information and we'll look at it to see, are there some ways that we can better support you? Are there some things that we can help provide? Are there some people that we can bring in? Is there information or resources that you need? And we'll look at what we can do as a state to provide you more support throughout the next school year. And then we're also going to pass this information regionally to your administrators so that if there are things that they can do specific to your area, they can support you as well. So we want to be there to help you through this and to help with this process. And then the other thing that we're going to do is offer more opportunities for all of us to meet. I can see some questions popping up in the chat. I know we want to make sure that we get to those today, but I also know that we kind of gave you a lot of information today. And there's a lot on your mind. It's the end of the school year. You're still trying to wrap things up, and we're asking you to wrap your mind around planning for the next year. So we know that when you leave today, between now and the next time that we meet up, you're probably going to have questions. So we've offered some opportunities in June for you to come to a Zoom meeting just like this with no pre-planned agenda and to ask those questions. So there are 3 sessions listed, but that's just to offer flexibility. So please don't think you have to sign up for all 3. If you have no questions and you have a plan, you don't have to come at all. But if there's some pressing questions that you do have between now and then, sign up for one of these sessions that works the best for you. And then you'll hop into a Zoom session with Lee, your consultant, and he'll help answer those questions for you. And I see Lee on the screen. And you'll be able to help each other as well, so that we can work through this together. And then also later on this summer, again, 2 sessions just for flexibility. And because we knew end of July and beginning of August is a great time for a last minute vacation before school starts. We're offering 2 other opportunities that you can take advantage of, one or the other, if you need them, to talk about instructional design. So, you know, what do you want to do for your program? How do you set that up? What kind of questions do you have about moving from segments to competencies? And we'll have some more resources for you that will help you do that. So that's what's coming. Between now and then, and I'll quick peek at the chat and we'll open it to questions for a minute, but if you have immediate pressing needs and you don't want to wait until June to ask, you can use this email address for our MDE Career Pathways group and ask your questions, and we'll add those to our FAQ and we'll get back with you as well. So we'll be posting that information for you too. So I'm going to take a minute here to go to the chat and look at our questions. And let me see if I can find where I left off here. So there is a reminder in here that you don't have to offer all of the credentials, just one of them, and that is true. It's like a menu and you get to choose. So there's lots of options for you there. And then there's a question, is it reasonable to believe that all 4 PCCs can be delivered in a 1-year, 2-hour block? If you think about basically the number of hours that it may take to deliver that, I know that there's flexibility that way. Our grantees were charged in thinking about local comprehensive high schools as well as career centers so that we didn't design something that only worked for one and not the other. So I do think that there is flexibility there, and I would go back and talk as instructors and administrators about that format and how long it might take you to hit the credential that you're looking at. And to target some of those competencies. But yes, we wanted to build in flexibility.